This is Professor White. Today we'll go over how to add and subtract rational expressions. Let's get started. Let's go over how we used to do this for fractions, just with numbers, no letters in them. When you have two like fractions, what you do is you leave the denominator alone and you add the top. And then at this point, if you can simplify, you go ahead and simplify. So I add the top and go ahead and factor that out. How did I do it with unlike fractions? I went and I found out what the lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator of the denominators are. Where do they meet? 3 and 6 meet at 6. So I multiply 3 by 2, 2 by 2, rewrite. I have a 4 over 6, so that's the equivalent fraction of 2/3, plus 1 over 6. And now they are like fractions. What you do is leave the denominator alone, add the top, and you're going to write 5 over 6. Now that I know this procedure, I can do the same thing with expressions. Here are like two like expressions. So how do I do that? They are the same. So I'm going to leave them alone. And then you have the top, 2 plus 3. Add the top, that's 5 over x plus 1. So that's fairly straightforward. Well, what happens when they are not like? One quick way is look at your denominators. Multiply them across. I know that lowest common denominator, lowest common multiple of x and x plus 1 is x times x plus 1. So you kind of go, okay, well, what am I missing in this term? I'm missing in x plus 1. What am I missing in this term? I'm missing in x. Multiply them across. Let's see what we have. I have a 2 times x plus 1 plus 1 times x over, I have now x times x plus 1. Very good. Now clean it up. Work this in. You're going to get 2x plus 2 plus 1 times x is x. Again, one more step. I have 2x plus x. That's 3 of them. And you have an x and an x plus 1. Remember, you cannot cross these x's or these two x's. All right, and let's look at it. Maybe the most you can do is multiply the denominator out, and you're going to have an x squared plus x. Either this answer or that answer will be okay. Now, let's be careful when we do the subtraction. Negative 1/2 is the same as, you can put that negative in front of it, 1/2, or 1 over negative 2. So these are very important. So in other words, if I have a negative in front of something, I can work that negative in. Watch. This is going to be 2x over x minus 1. I can write it like this, watch, plus, and I can work that negative in, negative 3x, negative 1. Do not forget to work that into both terms. And guess what? I will have x minus 1 at the bottom, and on top you're going to have 2x minus 3x minus 1. Then x minus 1 is going to be at the bottom. 2 minus 3, that's negative 1, and negative 1 here. Do you see it? So make sure, and then remember, I cannot cross these out. This is as far as you can go. So make sure that when you work the negative in, you work it onto both terms. All right, another one. When you have an addition, x plus 1 and 1 plus x, they have commutative property of addition, so they can change around. But x minus 1 is not 1 minus x. X minus 1 is negative 1 minus x. So if you remember that, and you remember this, and we're going to be okay in the next section. Okay. Let's look at this problem. Now I'm going to go and get the lowest common denominator. I have an x, x minus 1, 1 minus x. I know these are off by a negative 1, so my lowest common denominator is going to be x times x minus 1. I don't have to do anything more. And I kind of deal with this. Watch. 3 over x minus 2 over x minus 1. Do you remember these two are off by a negative? So I can work that negative in here and write this as x minus 1. Do you see that? Because I know that 1 minus x is simply negative x minus 1. So that is the important part, and that negative popped up right here, and that positive changed into a negative. Now I do this LCD business. So what am I missing? I'm missing an x minus 1 here. I have a negative 2, negative 4. So I can actually add this up, and I get negative 6 over x minus 1. And that one actually is missing a what? It's missing an x. So let's write this up. What do I have? I have a 3 x minus 1. Negative 2, negative 4, so that's negative 6. And remember, I put the x's in here. And at the bottom, I have x times x minus 1. I have to work the top. 3x minus 3 minus 6x. Now let's work the top up. 3x minus 6x, that's negative 3x minus 3. X minus 1. I can take the negative 3 out. I have x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay, you just go and you check your work. That here. Okay, it looks like it's good. Let's do one last one. Okay, again, here's the trick. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to rewrite this and work this negative into this negative and make it a positive. Here you are. 2 over x plus, watch, I'll flip this over, x minus 2. Then I have a negative 3x plus 5 over x minus 2. Take care of that x minus 2, 2 minus x at the beginning. Now write down your lowest common denominator. That happens to be x times x minus 2. Now let's go put that in here. I am missing an x minus 2. Here I'm missing an x. Here I'm missing an x. Let's make it all pretty. I'm going to FOIL them out. 2x minus 4. That's this one. X times that, that's 3x squared. X times negative 4, that's negative 4x. Now I'm going to work this negative and that x in. Negative 3x times x, that's negative 3x squared. Negative 5 times x, that's negative 5x. That's the whole top. Over. What do I have? I have an x and x minus 2. Let's go clean this up. These two will go. What else do I have? I have a 2, negative 4, that's negative 2, negative 5, so that's negative 7. And I have a negative 4. I'm going to check this because that's not the answer I got. Negative 2, negative 7. Over. I have x and x minus 2. Okay, this last one, 3x squared minus 4x, so that's fine. And I have a negative, so negative 3x squared minus 5x. Yeah, that is what I have, I think. Alright, sorry. So I'll have a 2 minus 5, negative 7x. That's it. So make sure you check your work. I think I'm right. And write it out. You can also write a negative here, like this if you want. But you cannot really go any further than this step. You're pretty much done with this problem.